If you like cacti and succulents, you'll love these guys. Let's talk about Euphorbia. What's up, fellow plant enthusiasts? My name is Dylan and this is Bane's Botanicals. Today we're going to be talking about Euphorbia. Euphorbia is probably the biggest genus in the world of like cacti and succulents. There is so much variety, so many different species and everything within Euphorbia that it's just kind of mind-boggling. Here is the taxonomy information for Euphorbia. We are in the family Euphorbiaceae, which also contains many other genera of just crazy plants. So it's no doubt that, or it's no surprise, I should say, that there are so many different houseplants within the genus Euphorbia. And I've got 3 different ones here today, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. So this is a Euphorbia, I believe the species is horrida. It's just a big barrel-shaped cactus that actually gets these little yellow flowers on the ends of the spikes and everything. I do have some spider webs on here, but they are not spider mites. They are just, I've seen them. I've seen a couple of spiders that get in here and they're just kind of living. They're just doing their thing. I'm just leaving them alone. Maybe they'll help take care of some of the fungus gnats. I don't know. But yeah, and I've got a lot of new growth actually on this side. So this one does tend to grow in clusters, which is pretty cool. This Euphorbia, I don't remember the species, but I think it's called like snowstorm or something is the kind of the common name. And I got it just because you don't see a lot of variegation within cacti. And if we get a closer look, I'm going to move this over just a little bit. If we get a closer look, we can see that these are actually variegated white and that there is some green in there, but not very much. So I think that that's really unique and that's why I've got it. But there are actually leaves on here too, which is another common trait of some cacti that are in Euphorbia is that they will get leaves, which is not something you see as much within American cacti, which we will talk about here in just a sec. And finally, I have a little bit of pencil cactus here. And these guys actually have sap that is toxic. So if you get any of the kind of milky sap on your hands, go wash your hands because it can cause like dermatitis and itching and things. So just be careful with that. But these guys are pretty cool. Very unique shape to it. And when they get bigger, these stalks will actually get very thick as well. So they'll get hardier in the sense that, well, I guess I shouldn't say hardier, less fragile. This one's still pretty small, so they can break kind of easily. But yeah, Euphorbia is different from American cacti because they evolved on different continents. So most of the genus Euphorbia actually evolved on Africa in the desert, and the American cacti and succulents evolved on the North American continent when the Rocky Mountains actually came up out of the ground with tectonic plates and shifting and all of that as the continents moved. It created a problem in that it dried out the air on the other side of the mountains. So where Arizona and New Mexico and everything is actually used to be jungle and very lush and everything, and then the mountains dried it out. So over time, as that air dried out, the cacti in the American Southwest evolved, which is kind of interesting. And it makes you think too, like, how does a plant know to evolve things like spines? Because all spines are just, they're modified leaves that can withstand heat and wind and desiccation and things like that. And how does it know to make this really thick succulent stem? I mean, that's all these are. Like the fleshy part of a cactus is actually the stem. So it's just interesting. It makes you wonder, like, what were these plants before? I don't know if they know that or not. That's a good question. But yeah, what else were we talking about? Oh, I guess that's a good example. I think that would be considered a good example of convergent evolution, where two separate things evolve in a similar way, even though they are in two different places altogether. They're not related to each other really at all, but they are very similar to each other in how they evolved. And there are certain cacti that if you didn't know the difference between the two, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference if it was a euphorbia or if it was like a cereus or something, cactus or whatever. It would be very minute in the detail. Maybe how many spines come out of the areole or whatever. Areole? I think that's the word for it. But yeah, we should probably talk about the care tips, huh? Care is very easy, actually. When it comes to light, bright indirect light, the brighter the better. If you acclimate certain species, like especially the cacti, if you acclimate them, you can put them outside in the direct sun when it's warm. But don't just stick them out there right away because they haven't been grown in that. They've been grown under lights and everything, so the intensity of the sun would actually scorch them. It's a process of just putting them out there a little bit more every day and then bringing them back in and letting them adjust. But yes, because they are desert plants, they do need bright light. As far as water goes, you let them dry out completely and let them stay dry for days. I mean, especially one like this, I know you guys can't touch it, but it is very, very hard. Like, it's very sturdy and it's just kind of a tank of a plant. And it can go for a long period without water and be just fine. There are certain cacti that are a little bit softer, so when you touch them, they like have a little bit of give to them. Those you wouldn't want to have dry out as long because I think that the heat would get them quicker, like they would start to shrivel. That's how you know when a cactus is really like aching for water. You'll actually start to see them shrivel up. You don't really want it to get to that point though. I would say, I mean, you could probably go once every couple of weeks without watering a cactus and be just fine. Now, if it's the growing season, you water cacti more. I water my cacti once a week when it's the growing season. Now, when it's the dormant season, like in the middle of winter, I only water them maybe once every 2 to 3 weeks. And depending on which cactus it is, it could be as long as a month. Because cacti they go through a dormant period where they do not want water at all, hardly. They need a little bit, but not very much. And if you're really a cactus buff and you want to really get into it, they actually like to be cool in the winter time. So let's say you had a basement that maybe had some grow lights or like a well-lit window or something. It wouldn't be the worst thing to have them down there under the light, of course, but in that cooler temperature. I think they can be as cold as like 50 degrees Fahrenheit and be just fine. Because if you think about winter, for example, in the desert, like it does get cooler at night. Like it gets pretty cold actually. Not freezing, but it does get cold. And if you do that kind of cool dormancy period during the wintertime, you will be rewarded with more flowers. Because cacti will flower, but they have to have kind of the right care and the right conditions for that. And having them do that kind of hard, it's not really a hard dormancy because they don't die back, but having them do that dormant period really helps them come back and bounce back in the spring and be like, wow, look at how healthy I am. I had such a good rest. Check out these flowers. So just something to think about if you're into cacti and everything. I haven't done that personally. They'll do just fine in your house. You don't have to do the cool dormancy thing. You can just let them sit, just have the heat of your home, and they're fine. So don't think too much on that. But regardless, pull back on watering in the wintertime. You do not want to get root rot. If you get root rot, I guess it would technically be stem rot since it's a cactus, you're done. There's really no saving it, especially like a barrel cactus. It's too much hassle. So yeah, soil, you just want a fast draining soil, cacti soil, succulent, something that'll drain fast. Fertilizing, I just fertilize not quite as much as my regular plants. Like I'll dilute my fertilizer a little bit more for my cacti, but I still do it twice a month during the growing season and then not as much, well actually no, not at all during the dormant season, like late fall, winter, early spring. So that's about all there is to say about Euphorbia. Like I said, there's just so many different ones. If you wanted to collect just Euphorbia, you could fill a whole house with different species. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. Let me know if you guys have any really cool species of Euphorbia, because I might go out and buy one. But yeah, I think that's all I have. Thank you guys so much for your support. Hope you're enjoying these videos. Your likes and your subscribes mean the world to me. And just doing these videos for you guys is a lot of fun. So thank you so much for the enjoyment. And yeah, I'm learning as much from you guys as I hope that I'm able to pass on to you. But yeah, until the next video, I'll see you guys very soon. And thank you.